Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tea Time with Mel. And today we have lovely Sheila Smalling. She will be joining us today, and Sheila is a single mom. She's also an entrepreneur, and she's also a beautiful mom of four. And Sheila will be talking to us about ways that you can overcome the dysfunctionality of being a single mom. What do you do? How do you thrive when you're going through or encountering problematics of being by yourself? Struggling with your kids, not knowing where to go, how to do it, how to overcome the problematic that we have with our kids when one of the figures are missing, the way our kids start behaving if they're used to having daddy around and just suddenly he's no longer there. So Sheila will be telling us a little bit about it. So before we do that, we want to say thank you to Nevada Partners one more time for this opportunity to host our tea time here. And I thank all of you guys, viewers that out there with us every week saying hello. We appreciate you. And we thank all those that are here today too. But before that, and not only the most important one, we want to welcome the Holy Spirit to this moment. And the verse for today is John 15 and verse 2. It says, He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit, He prunes so that it will be even more fruitful. Saying this, we want to say, Lord, thank you, because even though when we feel like we can't, we don't know where to go, what to do, or how to do it, He's always there for us. He's always telling us, I love you. You are the apple of my eyes. You're not alone. I'm here with you. Just keep your eyes on me. Keep your eyes on the kingdom, and I will supply all your needs. So, Sheila, can you talk to us about you? Tell us, who is Sheila?
Hello, everyone. My name is Sheila Smalling, but I go by She or Twisted Coach. I am a single mom of four amazing humans, ages 25, 23, and 19. Those are my boys. And then my princess, she's 15. I currently work in the nonprofit sector as a case manager. So I like to get my hands dirty with the members of the community that need assistance. But outside of that, I'm also what we call a yogistic wellness coach. And that's just a fancy name for someone like myself who is a yoga teacher and a wellness coach. And we utilize those two mindfulness practices to help women across the nation liberate themselves and find a harmonious relationship between them and well-being.
And before Sheila became that yoga spiritual person, can you tell us a little bit of Sheila?
Sure. Um, before and I like to say yoga found me. So before yoga found me, Sheila was a very, very, very angry woman. I was upset with the circumstances I felt at the time, that were given to me. Poverty, and when I say poverty, I mean, experiencing things like almost being evicted, getting your power cut off, and things like that. And all that comes from, having limited resources, single parent homes, and that kind of stuff. So because of that circumstance, those circumstances and the circumstantial living that I had, it framed my mindset in a way that I was angry. I blamed everybody for my shortcomings before yoga found me. And I think that's what she wanted me to tell you guys.
Yes. And how did that affect not only Sheila, but her kids?
Well, I'll be completely honest with you, if I may. You traumatize your children when you are experiencing your own shortcomings because you start to project on your kids. When you're upset and angry about how you live, there's no room for positivity or room for gentleness in you. So you can't give that to your children. And honestly, they're not at fault for their circumstances, right? They just happen to be a casualty of the circumstance. So as parents, when we're going through those things and we're yelling at the kids out of frustration, and we are not being patient with our children because we don't even have patience for ourselves, we traumatize our kids.
Mhm. And then tell me, how did that affect them in school? And what were their reaction with you? How did their behavior actually went on while these things were happening?
I'll have to say I am extremely blessed because the environment that we had within the home, fortunately, didn't affect my children academically as I've seen other households. My kids didn't really have a lot of behavioral issues because even though I was limited in what I could offer my children emotionally, mentally, and even physically, right? Because I wasn't present at home with working and going to school and things like that, my children were able to still maintain a sense of urgency when it came to academics. They know mama didn't play like that. So they maintain a sense of, academic and well behavior. But at home, you can see that it was affecting my children within how they were handling each other. There was no patience with each other. There was always yelling and finger pointing with each other. And again, that all comes from watching me battle with myself and all of the circumstances we talked about.
And when they were battling with each other, did you saw like they reacting, or any of them reacting in a way that they will shy away from others? They will keep themselves like by themselves, don't want to be with anyone. Did you saw that also like in school with interacting with other kids and so forth?
So I have 4 kids. All of my kids managed to create a tribe for themselves, a community of support. So my kids actually had a handful of friends, not very many. So they kept it very intimate, right? And I watched my kids lean on each other, like with their friendship groups, lean on each other. So we didn't really have that either, right? Again, everything that I experienced and that my kids experienced happened within the home with us, with each other. Publicly outside, we didn't have any of those things happen. So I'm blessed, very lucky. And I feel that that has a lot to do with the fact that even though I was going through those circumstances, I knew that I wanted different for my kids. So I would preach different things to them, even though I was going through something. I would preach things to them that I learned from like work and being outside in the community. I would take those things into the home to try to help my children because I saw the trauma.
So then you will say that you keep values and principles among them all the time, like respect, obedience, and
Yes.
honor and love.
Yes, 100%. Without those things, those are like rooted in my family. Those are the foundational things that I try to gift my children. Right? We can do a lot of things as parents, gift them things like clothing, video games, but to take a pause and teach them value, morale, and how to just be decent human beings during a time of turmoil and chaos is difficult, but it can be executed. And I did that with my children because I didn't want them to be a product of the environment that they were currently facing.
Great. And then how did Sheila manage to get herself out of there in that way? What will you tell a mom that's going through this hardship right now, that she feel vulnerable, she's alone, no one is there, she feels like the whole world is against her, and she's projecting that to her kids? What will you tell this mom?
I would say, Mom, it starts with you. Nothing is going to change if you don't change. When I was going through those issues, I didn't have mindfulness practices available to me. It wasn't until something really huge and detrimental happened in my life that I found these mindfulness practices like yoga, like we talked about. I am going to say to you, gift yourself a mindfulness practice. It doesn't have to be yoga. It could be something as simple as breathing, something as simple as going outside to walk, something as simple as listening to music and tuning the world out. But you have to find a way to come back to yourself. Because if you're not coming back to yourself and you're operating from outside of your true selves, then your kids are going to suffer eventually. So you want to adapt mindfulness practices to help you come back to center when you most need it. And when do you most need it? When you're dealing with your children.
And what would you say is that center that Sheila has?
Um, that center that I have is self-awareness, very self-aware. I know when I'm being triggered. I know when I've had enough. I know when I need a moment. And when you have those tools available to you, you can look at your kids and say, you know what? Right now, I can't have that conversation with you because if I do, I may say things that I can't take back. Coming back to your center, being self-aware, knowing, oh, the temperature is rising in me. I'm about to start saying stuff that I don't need to be saying. Let me fall back away from that emotion instead of going towards that emotion. When you go towards that emotion, you harm the people who are on the receiving end of that emotion.
That has nothing to do with
With what
what's
you're going through, but that inner turmoil. That's what I'm saying. You have to build a relationship with your inner self. I tell my students in yoga that that inner voice that we hear when it's nighttime, the TV is off, the house is quiet, and you're laying there and your mind is going and you're hearing your voice playing in your head. That's your inner self. Call that person your best friend. If you're not catering to your best friend, if you're not listening to what your best friend is telling you your best friend needs, you're failing yourself. And in connecting with that best friend, that inner being, then you can respond to things like, Sheila, you're tired. We need to rest more. Okay, Sheila, I think I can do that. Hey, Sheila, you do not like when your kids do this. Let's teach them to do something else. Okay, Sheila, I can do that, right? Having that connection and that relationship with your inner being will help you come out of what you're experiencing, and it'll help you to show up better for your children.
And then we will call it actually empathy, to learn to have empathy for you, yourself, love yourself. And when you love and have empathy for yourself, you're catering, you're able to give that back to others. Because if you don't know to love yourself, you can't love no one.
Right.
Exactly.
And I tell people, like when I teach my students about self-love, vision this cup, right? This teacup right here. Anything that's inside of this cup is mine. I can't function from an empty cup. Like this cup won't serve me if there's no tea in it. So that's mine. Everything that falls inside of this cup is mine. Now, Mel can pour me an overjoy of tea. Whatever falls off this cup and goes onto this here saucer, that's yours. That's what I can give you.
And here we are pouring joy, happiness,
it's a
love,
segue right to the tea.
empathy
Thank you.
to each other.
I'm gonna start it. But so that's how I look at my life, right? And when it comes to giving myself to people and showing up for people outside of myself, I literally vision my cup of tea like this one. And anything that falls in a saucer, because I'm a big pourer, I got a big belly, I like to eat a lot. So I pour a whole bunch because I want to make sure that there is something in my saucer because my children get to get from that. My family gets to get from that. My community gets to get from that saucer. So I always make sure I over pour, but I'm never going to under pour because then I can't service anybody because that's all for me.
This was amazing. We want to say thank you to everyone for another time of Tea Time with Mel. And thank you, lovely Sheila.
Yes,
This
of
has been
course.
an enlightenment to everyone. I hope you enjoy it. And if there's anything that you would like to actually say before we close it, Sheila, can you tell them where they can find you for a yoga class with you?
Yes.
How can they get like mentorship with you on the healing side of it? Can you tell us more about that?
Absolutely. So, like I said at the beginning, I'm a yoga instructor and a wellness coach. My company is called Get Twisted Yoga Company. You guys can find me on Facebook under Get Twisted Yoga Company, or you can find me on all social media handles under SHEI underscore Twisted Coach. So you guys can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Facebook, and you can find me on TikTok even under that name or Get Twisted Yoga Company.
Thank you so much, Sheila. And we want to say thank you again to all of our viewers that are out there. And again, if you have any needs, you have any emergencies, you have any concerns, you can text us at 702 410 3475. The number again, it's 702 410 3475. Get help. And we will answer back and then source you with all the needs that you may have. Our nonprofit organization, La Nina de Tus Ojos, is here to serve our community, to help them to empower single mothers with their kids, and also our homeless veterans and our kids that are going through from being out of foster homes. We also help them. We're here to provide a service of resources that we have available to you. And every first Saturday of the month, we have a program that called Promise Startup. And we're here to serve those that wish to start their own businesses, do not know how to do it. We're here to serve you at Nevada Partners. We will see you again at another tea time next week. Thank you so much for being with us, and we love you all.